Hello, and welcome to the show. As you know by now, I am your host Flash of Truth, and my co-host is of course the extremely lovely and multi-talented musician, singer, songwriter, and producer Miss Shani Two Pants.
Thank you everyone.
Today is a special edition of Sessions because we are going to be dealing with a question posed by a YouTube crusader of Christianity that goes by the name Shockofgod, who poses the question, what proof does anyone have that atheism is accurate and correct?
If you were to go by his account, and the videos in response, no one has yet to successfully answer this question to his satisfaction.
To properly answer this question, though, one must take into consideration that this is not a question that has a definitive answer like 1 + 1 = 2. The answer can only be as subjective as the belief in anything which is not and cannot, as of the year 2010, be proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
So, no matter what the answer given, the odds that Shockofgod or any of his followers will accept the answer as an answer are really quite slim, no matter how accurate and correct the answer is.
But let's give it a shot. Let me also state for the record again that I am not an atheist. I am an agnostic freethinker.
And I'm a hippie.
And quite a fine one, my dear. And now the answer to the question, what proof does anyone have that atheism is accurate and correct?
Let us begin by examining the definition of each word, so that we all begin on the same page. First, the word accurate. There are of course several variations, but the one that most fits this purpose is deviating only slightly, or within acceptable limits from a standard.
And if that standard is atheism itself, then the standard is most certainly accurate. Next definition, please.
The word correct, defined as accurate or true.
And once again, and without yet asking a question to the question, and just answering the question at face value, atheism is extremely accurate and true to the people that feel there is no God, without being able to ask further questions so as to establish the criteria so as to understand exactly what it is you would like answered. The answer to the question is, because we know. Just the same way you think you know your beliefs are accurate and correct.
Atheists know what they believe is as accurate and correct as any other belief that does not have enough evidence to confirm it, as opposed to undisputable facts like gravity or that we exist.
But I know for a fact that this is not the answer Shockofgod is looking for. I have seen enough of his videos to know that this will not be enough. So in order to answer this question properly and in further detail, I am going to fully utilize the sweet fact that he for once cannot interrupt. And I would like to answer this from an agnostic's point of view so that I might be as accurate and correct as possible. I am sure you all know, but an agnostic believes that there is a possibility of a God or several that might exist, but that there just is not enough proof to support this belief.
And the thought that, even if there were a God,
or several,
that in the vastness of the universe, any would be so concerned with the infinitesimally insignificant carbon-based units on this blue speck of sand on the cosmic beach is simply absurd.
Not to mention the fact that, with both beliefs, atheism and agnosticism, neither one include a belief that suggests if you don't believe what we believe that you should in any way be punished in this life, nor any possible next. And though we cannot prove something that doesn't exist.
Sorry.
We as non-believers know that our beliefs are accurate and correct because we have the statistics to prove it.
2 years ago, a groundbreaking study on religious belief and social well-being was published in the Journal of Religion and Society. Comparing 18 prosperous democracies from the US to New Zealand, author Gregory S. Paul quietly demolished the myth that faith strengthens society drawing on a wide range of studies to cross-match faith measured by belief in a God and acceptance of evolution, with homicide and sexual behavior. Paul found that secular societies have lower rates of violence and teenage pregnancy than societies where many people profess belief in a God.
At the head of the class, in both atheism and good behavior are the Japanese. Over 80% accept evolution and fewer than 10% are certain that a God exists. Despite its size of over 100 million people, Japan is one of the least crime-prone countries in the world. It also has the lowest rates of teenage pregnancy of any developed nation.
Next in line are the Norwegians, British, Germans, and Dutch. At least 60% accept evolution as a fact, and fewer than 1 in 3 are convinced that there is a deity. There is little teenage pregnancy, although the Brits with over 40 pregnancies per 1,000 girls a year do twice as badly as the others. Homicide rates are also low, around 1 to 2 victims per 100,000 people per year.
But then at the other end of the scale comes America. Over 50% of Americans believe in a God. And not only do 40% accept some form of evolution, many believe it had a helping hand from a deity. The U.S. has the highest rate of teenage pregnancy, and homicide rates are at least 5 times greater than in Europe and 10 times higher than in Japan.
All this information points to a strong correlation between faith and antisocial behavior, a correlation so strong that there is good reason to suppose that religious belief does far more harm than good.
This is quite apparent by the fact that the numbers also show that 1 in 100 Americans are in prison. Yet, less than 1% are atheists.
And it is the Bible Belt states that show the highest instances of divorce, crime, illiteracy, teen pregnancy, domestic abuse, sexually transmitted diseases, abortion, and unemployment.
While secular countries tend to do better across the board, as well as in the most important area of them all,
education.
Quite right, my dear, and on that thought, I would like to leave you with the immortal words of American astrophysicist Neil deGrasse, who said, "If you are scientifically literate, the world looks very different to you."
And we know as non-believers that what we believe in is accurate and correct, because we are bloody damn good people without any bloody God.
Right on, babe. And we hope, Shockofgod, that we have answered your question. I'm sure we haven't, but we gave it a shot anyway. The bottom line: we cannot have tangible evidence for our lack of belief in any God, because that is impossible. What we do have are the numbers to support why belief in any God as yet cannot possibly be accurate and correct to a rational, logical, reasonable, and morally responsible mind.
So how can it be to yours?
Yes, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time, peace, love, truth, creativity, music, and laughter to you and yours.
Cheers.